So today, in this lesson, we're going to talk about homeostasis. There are also some vocabulary words that are a little bit new and can be very confusing. So I'm going to spend the first part of the lesson just going over these words, how to pronounce it. So if you can say it out loud, it will be great because it gives you give you some practice of saying these words and also helping you to spell them properly. The first word that we're going to look at is homeostasis. And I broke it up into the syllables, homeostasis. So say the word out loud, homeostasis. We're going to also look at what it means later on in the lesson. The next word, vocabulary word for this lesson is thermoregulation. Thermoregulation. So thermoregulation is another vocabulary word. Again, we're going to look at that later. Vasodilation. Vasodilation. And vasoconstriction. So the words that I want you to focus on in this lesson is homeostasis, thermoregulation, vasodilation, and also vasoconstriction. So what is homeostasis? Homeostasis is the ability of a living thing to maintain an internal balance. And we talked about maintaining internal balance in our last lab, or maintaining an equilibrium. In the last lab, we were looking at how salt changes the concentration of water, and if we can't maintain a balance of water, the cell can either shrink or it can burst depending on the concentration of salt. So we kind of look at the balance of water, and now we're going to look at some other things in this lesson. We're going to look at the balance of temperature, we're going to look at the balance of glucose, and we're going to look at the balance of carbon dioxide. So what happens if your body cannot maintain a balance or there is an imbalance? If there is an imbalance, it will lead to a disease. All right? It will lead to a disease. So the concepts that I want you to understand is that homeostasis is there to maintain a balance. If the balance is not there, there will be a disease that will show up in your body or any other living thing, as a matter of fact. So what does your body do when it gets really hot? Your body needs to maintain the internal temperature of your body to about 37 degrees Celsius. And if it cannot do that, again, there will be a disease. So your body has a number of things that it can do to maintain the temperature. One of it is sweating. By sweating, it is basically producing a lot of water, and that tends to cool the surface of your body and also tend to reduce the internal temperature back to a stable state. Another thing that happens is that your blood vessel, and here's a diagram of your blood vessel, when there's an increase of temperature, your body needs to get rid of that heat. So if this is the normal size of your blood vessel, it will tend to expand. And by expanding, there is more heat loss through your body. This type of heat loss, where your blood vessel dilates or expand, is called vasodilation. And I'm going to write that word, V-A-S-O-D-I-L-A-T-I-O-N. So two things that your body do to cool itself down when it's too hot so it can maintain an internal balance or maintain homeostasis is sweating, and also the blood vessel dilates or gets bigger, and this is called vasodilation. Now, say for example your body fails at sweating or fails to vasodilate, or it is vasodilating and there is sweat, but still the temperature is so hot that your body cannot overcome the amount of heat, you will suffer from a disease that is called hyperthermia. Hyperthermia. Again, if your body cannot maintain homeostasis when it comes to heat, you can suffer from hyperthermia. One of your assignments will be some of the symptoms of hyperthermia. You will have to do a research on that later on. So what happens to your body when it's really cold? When your body is cold, it tends to shiver. All right, so shivering is a way that your body tries to produce more and more heat energy and tends to warm you up when it's too cold. Another mechanism that your body does is that it tends to vasoconstrict. Vasoconstrict, and to constrict means to become narrower. So this is the size of your blood vessel. It will become very smaller. All right? The reason why it wants to trap the heat so that it can keep your body warmer whenever it is a cold condition. So apart from shivering, vasoconstriction happens. So I'm going to write that. Sorry. vasoconstriction. So vasoconstriction. That is where your blood vessels become smaller and heat is conserved. So what disease is there when your body cannot overcome the cold temperature? There is HY, hypothermia. So hypothermia. So hypothermia is a condition, is a disease when your body cannot maintain a warm enough environment because of the climate outside, because of the temperature outside, it's too cold. Hypo means low, hyper means high. And I just want to say that because when you think about high temperature, when it's too hot, you have hyperthermia. And when it's too cold and the temperature drops, it is hypothermia. Just something to remember the vocabulary a little bit better. So far in thermoregulation, where the temperature is regulated so that we can maintain homeostasis or a balance, we have talked about two diseases and we talked about mechanisms that your body needs to undergo so that the temperature is regulated and stable. So how does it all work together? I mean, you're a very complex organism. You have all these organs and systems in place that all works with each other. One of the important systems that helps in the role of homeostasis or to maintain a balance is the nervous system. Now the nervous system consists of the brain and it consists of the spinal cord. That makes up the central nervous system. The other part of the nervous system are nerves that are running out of your spinal cord to every single cell in your body, and that is the peripheral nervous system. So the nervous system is made up of the brain and spinal cord, which is called the central nervous system, and nerves that are coming out of that called the peripheral nervous system. So what does the nervous system do, or what role it plays in helping you to maintaining a balance? First, it controls everything. It controls how much water you're keeping in your body. It controls how much your blood vessels should constrict or how much it should expand to. Everything is controlled by the nervous system in your body. So to do this type of controlling, it needs to detect whenever there's a problem and it needs to respond to fix that problem. So think of the central nervous system like our principal. He is the one who has control over the school. And whenever there is something wrong, there is a mechanism for him to detect that, and he also needs to respond. All right? So the nervous system detects and responds. How does the nervous system do this? By sending electrical impulses or sending electrical messages. In the next slide, we're going to look at exactly how does electrical message is transmitted throughout our body. Running through our body are nerve cells. So every single tip of our body have these things running like electrical cables, and one of them looks like this. And you might like, wait a minute, how is it that the cell is shaped like this? Cells have very different shapes and also very different function. The nerve cell, this is the shape of how it looks like, and its function is to transport electrical impulses. So the nerve cell is made up of three parts. It has a nucleus in the center, which is called the cell body, and that's here. It is made up of these, or this part of it, called the axon, and it is made up of a branch network of extension called the dendrite. I'm not sure if you can, yes, you can see that one. So the parts of a nerve cell is the dendrite, the cell body, and the axon. So since they're all connected together, I'm going to draw exactly how it looks like. So we have the cell body, we have the axon, and we have the dendrite. That is connected to another cell, or another nerve cell, which have the cell body. It has the dendrite, it has the axon, and that is connected to another cell. So like cable wires, these are all connected to each other, all sending messages back and forth through these neurons or nerve cells. So the nerve cell, as I said, consists of the dendrite, the axon, and the cell body. We're going to zoom in a little bit to how two of them transmit these messages. So I'm going to draw the cell body there. I'm going to draw the axon over here. And I'm going to draw the dendrite over here. And I'm going to do another one. We have cell body, we have that. Over there. So that is two nerve cells. This is one, the first one is one of them, and then there's a second one. So as I was saying, the axon, so let me just label this A-X-O-N, and this is the dendrite, D-E-N-D-R-I-T-E. So your axon sends out little bits of, or pieces of chemicals, it's released, called neurotransmitters. Alright, I'm going to write that word here. Neurotransmitters. So these are neurotransmitter that is released from your axon with the chemical messages, and then it transfers it to your dendrite. Your dendrite now picks it up and carries it through, and then sends it off to another cell. So that is how the messages are carried. It is released from the axon, the dendrite picks it up, carries it to the axon, another dendrite picks it up, and so forth. Between the space here, where there is an axon and a dendrite, this space is called a synapse. S-Y-N-A-P-S-E. So a synapse or synapse is a space between an axon and a dendrite. As a review, the things we've talked about today is that our body needs to maintain homeostasis, which is a balance. We also talked about a balance in temperature, which is Thermoregulation, thermoregulation, which is the balance of temperature. We said our body can do this in two ways: when it's too hot or when it's really cold outside. When it's really hot, our body tends to sweat. And when it's too cold, our body tends to shiver. Also, we said that when it's too hot, our blood vessels tends to expand. And also, when it's too cold, our blood vessel tends to shrink or get smaller. We talked about the nervous system. And we said that the nervous system transmits messages. So if our body is too hot or is getting too hot, our brain and our nerves picks up that message and it tells our muscles, it tells our blood vessels to expand. Whenever it is too cold, our brain picks up that message, it sends an electrical impulse to our blood vessel, and our blood vessel starts to shrink so as to conserve heat. The nervous system sends message through nerves. Each nerve is connected to each other, and there's a space between called a synapse or a synapse. And the messages that are carried between one nerve cell to another is called a neurotransmitter.